So in this video, we're going to talk about how to add polynomials. We're looking for monomials that we can add together, and they can be added together if they're like terms. So for example, if we add 6x squared y and 4x squared y, we're going to combine the coefficients, which will give us 10, and then we write x squared y. If we add 5x cubed and 8x squared, where those are unlike terms, so we're just going to write them with the addition sign in the middle. Okay, so if we have not like terms, they can be combined and you just leave the addition or subtraction sign there. So to add polynomials, what we're going to do is we're going to combine the like terms from both polynomials. Remember to keep the sign that's in front of the monomial with it, and then polynomials can be added horizontally or vertically. Okay, it doesn't matter which method you choose, just choose your favorite every time you solve a problem. So I personally prefer to add polynomials vertically because it reminds me of just addition with numbers. So when we add these two polynomials, you see if I'm adding vertically, like I've lined up all the like terms, right? So my square terms combine, and that's how I get 2x squared. My linear terms combine, and that's how I get 11x. And then 1 minus 5 gives me minus 4. Okay, if you add horizontally, what you do is you identify the like terms in each polynomial so you can, regroup these. So you write 5x squared minus 3x squared. So it's kind of like you pull out the x squared from both polynomials, and then you pull out the x term from both and get 4x and 7x. And then you pull out the constants and you get 1 minus 5. And then you simplify each group. So 5x squared minus 3x squared gives you 2x squared. 4x plus 7x gives you 11x, and then 1 minus 5 gives you minus 4. So you can see either way you get the same answer. It's just a matter of personal preference. Okay, so some things to keep in mind when you're working on these problems. You want to start off by making sure that you rewrite all polynomials in standard form before adding. Then you want to be sure that you're only combining like terms. And if a polynomial skips a term of a certain degree, and you'll notice this when you're rewriting, you want to add in this as a 0 term. Okay, so for example, if we were rewriting this polynomial, this is degree 0, degree 3, and degree 1. So we would rewrite this as 4x cubed minus 3x plus 7, which is great unless we're working on an addition problem. Because when we're adding, we want these to go in order, degree 3, degree 2, degree 1, and then 0. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add in that skipped second degree term. And I can add it in as a 0. So I add it in as 0x squared minus 3x plus 7. And the reason is because this 0 term will now become a placeholder. So suppose I'm adding to a polynomial that does have a squared term. I wouldn't know where to put it, but if I have the 0 here as a placeholder, it'll help everything line up a little more neatly. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. So we're going to rewrite all polynomials in standard form, and remember to add in a 0 term if a term of any degree is skipped. Then we'll identify the like terms and combine them by combining the coefficients, and make sure that our final answer is written in standard form. So let's try now this example. So we want to make sure that our polynomials are in standard form. And notice that these go in order, degree 2, degree 1, and then 0. And we also have 2, 1, 0. So we don't have to worry about that part. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at combining the polynomials and make sure that we're putting together the like terms. So I'm going to color code this so you can see what my like terms are. So I have 6x squared, and then I have minus 7x, and I have plus 8. Okay, notice that I color coded the sign along with the term, and that's because the sign is going to stay with the term. Now let's go to the second polynomial. We have minus 4x squared, and then we have plus 9x, and then we have minus 5. Okay, so now let's go ahead and combine these together. So 6x squared minus 4x squared is going to give me 2x squared because I just combined 6 and minus 4. And then minus 7x plus 9x is going to give me plus 2x. And then plus 8 minus 5 is going to give me plus 3. So our simplified expression is 2x squared plus 2x plus 3. So now let's try this example. So I'm going to first make sure that they're both in standard form, and notice that this is degree 2 and then 0, and we have 2, 1, and 0. So they're both in standard form. But notice the first polynomial doesn't go in order. Remember, we wanted to go 2, 1, and then 0. So I'm going to rewrite this polynomial, and I'm going to add in that 0x term. Okay, so we have 0x and then plus 7, and my second polynomial remains unchanged. So now I'm going to rewrite these and I'm going to line up my like terms. So I have 3x squared, and then I have plus 0x, and then plus 7. Okay, so now let's go to the second polynomial. So we have x squared. Remember that x squared has a coefficient of 1. That's just implied. And then we have minus 6x, and then we have plus 4. So now let's go ahead and combine these two. And so we have 3x squared plus 1x squared, which gives me 4x squared. 0x minus 6x gives me minus 6x. And then plus 7 plus 4 gives me plus 11. So that's my final answer. So now let's try adding these two polynomials together. So just looking at these, you can probably see that they're not in standard form. So that's going to be my first task, is to rewrite these in standard form. So the highest degree term here is going to be that 7x to the 4th. And then we have minus 4x cubed. And then plus 2x minus 5. Okay. Now let's rewrite the second polynomial. So we have 3x cubed, which is our highest degree term. And then plus x squared. And then minus 7x. Okay, so now let's make sure we didn't skip any terms. So this one went 4, 3, and then, oh, we're missing a 2 term. So let's go ahead and add that in. So we have 7x to the 4th minus 4x cubed plus 0x squared. And then it does go in order, right? 2x is my first degree term, and then 5 is my constant. And then plus, let's look at the second polynomial. Well, we have 3x cubed plus x squared minus 7x, but we don't have a constant term, so I'm just going to add plus 0. Okay, so now that we have all our terms written out, let's go ahead and write out our polynomials. So we have 7x to the 4th, and then we have minus 4x cubed, and then we have plus 0x squared, and then we have plus 2x, and let's see, we have minus 5. Okay, so now when we're combining with our second polynomial, notice that I don't have an x to the 4th term in my second polynomial, right? So I didn't add in that 0 because it was like in front, but you can always add it in here. You can add in a 0, or you can add it in a 0x to the 4th, okay? And that's just to remind me that I can only combine like terms. So then my plus 3x cubed is going to go here, right? Because it can only combine with my x cubed terms. All right, and then we have plus x squared. Remember, that's a 1x squared. And then we have 2x, which is going to combine with minus 7x. And finally, we have our plus 0. So we have plus 0 here at the end. Okay, so now let's go ahead and add together our like terms. So 7 plus 0 gives me 7x to the 4th. Minus 4 plus 3 gives me minus 1x cubed. 0 plus 1 gives me plus 1x squared. 2 minus 7 gives me minus 5x. Minus 5 plus 0 gives me minus 5. So remember, when we're writing polynomials, we usually don't write those coefficients of 1. So I'm going to rewrite this as 7x to the 4th minus x cubed plus x squared minus 5x minus 5. Okay, and that is my final answer. So now you can go ahead and pause the video and try doing this example on your own. So here, once again, we have some polynomials that are not in standard form. So the first step was to rewrite them. So the first polynomial I rewrote as 2x squared minus 3x plus 4. The second one I rewrote as 14x squared minus 8, but I needed to add in the 0x term because it doesn't have a x to the 1 term. And then I lined up my like terms, and so that gave me 2x squared plus 14x squared, so that's 16x squared. Minus 3 plus 0 gives me minus 3x. And then plus 4 minus 8 gives me minus 4. So that is my final answer. All right, so now let's try this one. So this polynomial is a little bit different because we have more than one variable in it, right? So when we write polynomials with more than one variable, you may be wondering how standard form works. Well, it works in the sense that you look at one variable and then you just do decreasing order of that. And so if you have like x and y, we usually just do x. So you see this is x to the 2, x to the 1, and then x to the 0. So that's why these polynomials are written like that, okay? So then the like terms will be the terms that have both variables with the same exponent. So like, for example, it's going to be minus 4x squared, and then minus 3xy, and then we have plus 5y squared. Okay, so we're going to combine with these same terms that have the same variables, same exponent in the second polynomial. So we have plus 6x squared, and then we have minus 6xy, and then we have minus 10y squared. Okay, so when we add them together, minus 4 plus 6 gives me 2x squared, minus 3 minus 6 gives me minus 9xy, plus 5 minus 10 gives me minus 5y squared. So that is going to be the simplified expression. So now you can go ahead and pause the video and try doing this example on your own. So once again, we're going to line up the terms that have the same variables with the same exponents. So 5x squared and 6x squared will add up to 11x squared. Minus 3xy minus 4xy gives us minus 7xy. And then minus 8y squared and plus 2y squared gives us minus 6y squared. Okay, so to add polynomials, you're going to rewrite each polynomial in standard form and then add in any zeros for terms that are skipped. Remember to then combine the like terms by adding together the coefficients of the terms.